it has not been a smooth sailing for the Matric class of 2021 with the COVID-19 pandemic. Grade 12s have now entered the last stretch of their exams. And we know, of course, what normally happens. Pens down parties, okay? Now, this morning, our reporter, Silindelo Masikane, went to Mpumalanga, where Provincial Education MEC was visiting schools. She's back now in Joburg, joining us now in the studio this afternoon here at the lead, on eNCA. Now, Silindelo, good afternoon. Welcome back. You were at the Little Village, I understand, earlier on, with Mr. Bonagele Majuba, the MEC for Education. What's the message to Matric pupils at this time, as they are now in the final stretch of this year's exams?
Yeah, we know just what a tough year it's been for the class of 2021, and for them to actually get to this point, I think is quite amazing for themselves as well as the education system as a whole. We know from the basic education department just how critical it is to get these matriculants down to writing exams and through the system so that they can pursue their passions, their dreams, and whether they want to pursue their further education. And we know, of course, that the vaccination drive, in particular here in South Africa, is not going too well. It's quite slow, particularly amongst young people. And we know that the cohort has been increased for 12 and up. And what you usually see, I think, this time of year, besides the writing of exams, is, of course, that anticipation from young people to be able to hang out with their friends, to be able to pens down and actually celebrate, having made it through 12 years of schooling. And unfortunately, we're in a COVID-19 pandemic, and unfortunately, this has obviously led to us having to implement certain restrictions around social distancing, around sanitizing, wearing your mask. And the call right now is for matric pupils to try and not participate in these pens down parties. We know there's a whole issue around the events happening in Durban, the Rage Festival, which we understand was a super spreader event last year. So the call, really, what we saw today from the MEC was encouragement in this last stretch, but also asking young people to vaccinate and to stay away from these super spreader events like pens down parties. Let's take a listen.
Came here, but I'm quite happy. I see that they're still stable. They are continuing to write. But what we are here is to wish these children good luck and make sure that they write and pass and finish their writing. But also to tell them about the importance of making sure that as they finish writing, they don't go around throwing parties, calling them pens down parties, because those kinds of parties, we have been saying it even in the previous years, that those kind of parties, sometimes they throw danger to these learners. There are drugs involved there, and a lot of bad things happening to these kids. We want to appeal to parents that parents must talk to these children. These children, after finishing writing, the best thing for them to do is to be disciplined, be at home.
It's like basically saying hashtag throw down the pen, hashtag don't throw the party, which is very sound advice considering the pandemic. But you'll feel for the young people who really want to say, you know what, we've given it all, particularly because the matriculants of this year were in grade 11 last year when we were first hit by coronavirus pandemic in this country and lockdown. So they were a very tough two years. But we understand the advice. But you did speak to some of the matriculants. I mean, they are wrapping up now their finals, and some of them might have also had the vaccine. I mean, what's the mood on the ground? What did you find there?
Yeah, I think you remember yourself, Bradan, when you were back in high school and you had just finished. You know, it's that last week as you're writing your last papers, you know that, you want to go out and have a groove, with your friends. But I think some of them are heeding those calls. I think for others it's going to be a little bit difficult. It's going to be quite interesting to see next week, because we know with the low vaccination rate amongst young people, a lot of parents actually were trying to wait until the exams were over before their kids could go and vaccinate, just to be able to allow them to study properly and not have any symptoms perhaps while they're writing. So I think we should be watching those vaccination numbers next week. A lot of them that I spoke to encouraging their peers years to vaccinate, saying that, it's not going to just protect you, it's going to protect your family, as well as, decrease the rate of mutations that we're seeing and these variants that are coming up. And two of them that I spoke to are actually saying, we support the call not to have pens down parties, even though it might be a little bit difficult. Let's take a listen.
I've been vaccinated and I would like to encourage everyone to vaccinate, really not because this COVID-19 thing is going to affect us very bad.
Vaccinating, I do feel good about it because it protects us and at the same time it ensures that we get to write our exams.
Just encourage them not to do those things because, well, we'll be in so much groups that maybe we don't know who will be infected with COVID-19, so it is better to stay at home and stay safe rather than doing these pen down things.